But George was thrilled to have his very own pig. The presents he'd received from his mum and dad that year were, as usual, pretty dreadful. The home-knitted purple and orange striped jumper from his mum had sleeves which stretched right down to the floor. He had never wanted a set of panpipes, and he had a hard time looking enthusiastic when he unwrapped a build-your-own wormery kit. What George really wanted, above all things in the universe, was a computer. But he knew his parents were very unlikely to buy him one. They didn't like modern inventions, and tried to do without as many standard household items as they could. Wanting to live a purer, simpler life, they washed all their clothes by hand, and didn't own a car, and lit the house with candles in order to avoid using any electricity. It was all designed to give George a natural and improving upbringing, free from toxins, additives, radiation, and other such evil phenomena. The only problem was that in getting rid of everything that could possibly harm George, his parents had managed to do away with lots of things that would also be fun for him. George's parents might enjoy dancing around maypoles, going on eco-protest marches, or grinding flour to make their own bread, but George didn't. He wanted to go to a theme park and ride on the roller coasters, or play computer games, or take an aeroplane somewhere far, far away. Instead, for now, all he had was his pig. And a very fine pig he was, too. George named him Freddie, and spent many happy hours dangling over the edge of the pigsty his father had built in the back garden, watching Freddie rootle around in the straw or snuffle in the dirt. As the seasons changed and the years turned, George's piglet got bigger and bigger and bigger, until he was so large that in dim lighting he looked like a baby elephant. The bigger Freddie grew, the more he seemed to feel cooped up in his pigsty. Whenever he got the chance, he liked to escape and rampage across the vegetable patch, trampling on the carrot tops, munching the baby cabbages, and chewing up George's mum's flowers. Even though she often told George how important it was to love all living creatures, George suspected that on days when Freddie wrecked her garden, she didn't feel much love for his pig. Like George's dad, his mum was a vegetarian, but George was sure he had heard her angrily mutter "sausages" under her breath when she was clearing up after one of Freddie's more destructive outings. On this particular day, however, it wasn't the vegetables that Freddie had destroyed. Instead of charging madly about, the pig had done something much worse. In the fence that separated George's garden from the one next door, George suddenly noticed a suspiciously pig-sized hole. Yesterday it definitely hadn't been there. But then yesterday Freddie had been safely shut in his sty, and now he was nowhere to be seen. It meant only one thing, that Freddie, in his search for adventure, had burst out of the safety of the back garden and gone somewhere he absolutely should not have done. Next door was a mysterious place. It had been empty for as long as George could remember. While all the other terraced houses in the row had neatly kept back gardens, windows which twinkled with light in the evenings, and doors that slammed as people ran in and out, this house just sat there, sad, quiet, and dark. No small children squeaked with joy early in the morning. No mother called out of the back door to bring people in for supper. At the weekends there was no noise of hammering, nor smell of fresh paint, because no one ever came to mend the broken window frames or clear the sagging gutters. Years of neglect meant the garden had rioted out of control until it looked like the Amazon jungle had grown up on the other side of the fence. On George's side, the back plot was neat, orderly, and very boring. There were rows of runner beans strictly tied to stakes, lines of floppy lettuces, frothy dark green carrot tops, and well-behaved potato plants. George couldn't even kick a ball without it landing splat in the middle of a carefully tended raspberry bush and squashing it. George's parents